I would like to present two topics I'm very passionate about. One is open source, and this amazing group of people who donate their time to making our lives so much, much better. And then inclusiveness in tech, right? I would like to make that kind of my story and how I started contributing to open source, right? And this is not my first open source contribution, but it's the most recent one. So you see it's kind of like just 20 days ago. So essentially, I was for work looking at TF-IDF, and I realized that two things that should be the same kind of were not matching up, right? So then I went on Stack Overflow. I could not find an answer. I opened an issue on the scikit-learn repository. And one of the core contributors answered and said, you know, actually, this is probably something we should have documented better, right? Why don't you kind of fix that and open a pull request? Right, so the first time that somebody kind of said that to me, that was my reaction. Because you have to fork the repo, you have to install from source, you have to make sure that like the merge test pass, and then you can. So I was like, of course I would like to help, but how, right? So here is a bit where I see Data Umbrella coming in, right? So what is Data Umbrella? So it's a community, simply a community for underrepresented persons in data science. It's a nonprofit organization. I think it has a great team. I'm not part of that core team, but I'm very passionate about the work they do, and that's why I wanted to promote them in this crowd, right? So what kind of stuff do they do? So for instance, they promote open source sprints, right? And I chose this one because, as you see, it's coming up pretty soon. There have been, I think, 3 talks in this conference about PyMC. So they organize these open source contribution sprints to actually lots of the libraries that are supported by the non-focus project, right? And I think that if you have never contributed to an open source project, it's a fantastic way of getting into it because they are core developers from the libraries. They chose issues that are easier to get started with, and you have coaches that help you, right? And usually, like, you do pair programming, so they pair you up with people who might be at your level or a bit more advanced. So I think I love it both from like a social perspective, like having fun, but also you do like something useful in like, so if you want to take a picture of that, I think it's a very nice opportunity coming up soon. Now, they also have more events coming up soon, right? So they have this one on Wikipedia, serving the PyTorch models. And I think, and I put that picture, and the first, so I discovered Data Umbrella, the first sprint I took in was in the LATAM one, for the like scikit-learn improving documentation and so on. And I put a picture in a hospital, right? Because I think that's one of the things I would like to highlight about diversity, that sometimes we think about diversity in some dimensions that are visible, like, for instance, race, or even when we think about disability, we think about disability in ways that's visible, right? And what I liked about Data Umbrella is that they also put a lot of emphasis on diversity that you might not see, right? You might be talking to a person who has an autoimmune disease, but unless that person tells you, you would never know, right? Or you might also think in diversity in terms of countries, like how many CEOs do you know that don't come from like a Western European country or don't come from Canada and the US, right? So I think it's an initiative that combines 2 things that I think are truly beautiful, right? So here are ways you can stay up to what they organize, right? So the message I want to convey is if you want to get started with open source, I think this group of people is a fantastic way to do so. And other stuff you can check out is their YouTube channel. They have already done lots of tutorials, so you can just check it out. They have also playlists on things that are not strictly like data science libraries. So I found, for instance, very good the career advice ones. What else? Career advice one. You can sign up for a monthly newsletter. And here you see a bit kind of the things that, so for instance, they also cover AI ethics and burnout. I think especially burnout it's a very interesting topic that I think they do an excellent work also on that, right? So yeah, that's it from my side. I just want to put again that slide. And if you want to stay in touch with me, I will be 2 weeks in London, and I would love to have friends to hang out. I'm definitely going to the Pride, so yeah, just talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gloria. What a wonderful initiative, and thank you for calling that out. Lovely. Who have I got next?